Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. Today, we're continuing on our divisional previews, sticking in the AFC. We are doing the AFC South. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. You can follow us over on Twitter at DraftedUp_pod. But more importantly, the show, you can get it wherever you watch or listen to your podcast. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We'll be there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, follow, all that good stuff. We always appreciate it. How you doing today?
Doing good. Ready to talk to this terrible division, dude. It's literally anyone's ball game out of the four of them. It's wide open. It's unlike the first division we talked about. It's all Buffalo. Second division, Buffalo or Baltimore, Cincinnati kind of toss up. But this one, it's anyone's game, dog.
Well, there's one team I don't think that can win this division. But
completely disagree.
There might be two. There might only be two teams I think that have a legitimate shot to win. But we'll see. I've
done multiple season stats outs, and I've had every scenario where I had one of the other teams winning the division. I've had a division winner at 7 wins. This division's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be a one of those weird, like, the NFC West used to be really bad when Seattle was always winning with like 7 wins.
New Orleans at one time won the South with 7 or 8 wins.
Yep. Yeah, there's always that division every couple of years where it's just you never know what to expect, and it's never always a good thing. All right, before we jump in, not long before we hit record here today, this lovely rainy Thursday, Terry McLaurin has requested a trade from the Washington Commanders. Smoke or no smoke there?
I don't know, dude. I have no idea. I would assume it's real. I would assume the stuff got leaked, that how much money he wanted, and I would assume he's furious, and he doesn't like that. I don't know, dude. He hasn't had an issue at all, and now they're not paying him, and now there's all of this issues. There's a lot of drama. This isn't Terry McLaurin. It hasn't been him for the 5-6 years he's been in the NFL. He's never had a problem. He's shown up. He's done his job. They've had no talent except him. He's done his dues, and now all this stuff is coming up. The money, how much he wants, got leaked, and I don't know. Now it seems like a trickle-down effect, and now he requested a trade, so I hope he doesn't get dealt, because it's like he finally got a quarterback. I want him there. I want him there for Jaden Daniels.
What are the chances he gets moved? Where would you put it as a percentage point?
Like 30, 70, 30 he gets moved.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same ballpark there. I think if he does get moved, I think it would be to a team that has a quarterback. I can't see a team who's not set up at the quarterback position to go out and get a wide receiver of Terry McLaurin's caliber.
Oh, no,
usually teams that aren't good at quarterback probably aren't competing. So Buffalo, I don't think they're a possibility. I think they're just like set with like what they got and just let Josh Allen run the offense. I wouldn't rule out Kansas City. They tried last year to get DeAndre Hopkins in-house, and with Rashee Rice's suspension looming, maybe they go out and make the move, and Hollywood Brown can't stay healthy. Can we trust Xavier Worthy to be the one in the meantime? So there's questions there. I would put Kansas City as a possibility. I'd also say San Francisco. That Juwan Jennings wants to get paid. Maybe they work out a deal where Jennings goes to Washington and he can get just a cheap extension from them, and they'd be willing to do that. And then if San Fran has the cap capabilities, they can lock in Terry to what he's looking for.
Yeah, I could see a few of those teams. Baltimore is definitely not in the mix as well. They're another team with a good quarterback that has not many weapons, but I don't think they're in the mix.
Pittsburgh should go out and trade for him.
I don't know, dude. I would hate that for Terry McLaurin. But if Terry McLaurin leaves Washington, he's not there this season. That does hurt Jaden Daniels a little bit fantasy-wise, because then he's stuck with Deebo Samuel and not much else, and Zach Ertz come on. Like, that's not a lot for Jaden Daniels. Like, he's still going to cook because he rushes, but he's him pushing that ADP is going to be pretty hard without Terry McLaurin there.
Yeah, I would assume if they move McLaurin, they're going to either get a receiver back in the deal, like if it is San Fran, the Jennings scenario works. Kansas City, they don't really have. Maybe they send Hollywood Brown, but
he's already hurt. He's back. He's already hurt, so he's missed camp.
That's not going to help Jaden Daniels' case, or then maybe they bring in Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen to kind of hold over there. But yeah, it would definitely loom on the Washington offense. I don't think he gets traded in the end, but it is a interesting scenario that we got to really consider. Drafts are right around the corner. We're just about in August. There's football tonight. So it is worrisome, and it kind of moves McLaurin, unless he gets paid here in the next week or two, kind of on a do not draft list for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of red flags at this point, especially coming in the draft season. But at some point, even if he falls down in the draft board, he's going to be that's good value. Yeah. At some point, he's going to play this year, either if it's Washington or somewhere else. But I don't know how far that would be for me to actually draft him, especially come like if it's late August and he's still not there, no deal is done. I am extremely worried.
Yeah. Yeah, it would take a lot for me to get him. It would be like 3-4 rounds past his ADP where I'm willing to then
I was going to say, like, I'd probably start looking at like the 9th or 10th round is where I would honestly look for him, because once you hit double-digit rounds, that's kind of where I look at free picks. It doesn't really matter what you do in the 10th round on. You're kind of going for high upside kind of guys and just kind of throwing darts at that point. So I would be willing to take Terry McLaurin at that point.
Yeah. And then our other holdout, Trey Hendrickson, he reported to Bengals camp. No deal, though, but
no.
I think he was just tired of losing money because he was getting fined. You get fined like $50,000 a day. And he was up to $250,000. So that's a pretty penny out of your pocket. So he showed up at camp. I think that just shows good faith, but he's still standing his ground. There's no words on when a deal gets done, but I think him being in-house, I do think that one's more likely to get worked out than Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I would assume it's obviously trending way more positive than Terry McLaurin's is. The one reported today and the other one just up and requested a trade. So they are complete night and day in my eyes. So hopefully Hendrickson gets a deal done soon, because Cincinnati's defense obviously needs the help.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else? Trey Lance is starting today for the Chargers.
Trey Lance is starting, and
that's
DJ
almost Uyaga.
That's almost how you know your career is dwindling down when you're starting the Hall of Fame game. So Trey Lance he's there. He's trying to become the backup's backup for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if he can even beat out Taylor Heineke to be the backup.
I don't think so. Heineke's a good quarterback.
Yeah, Heineke would have to get hurt or something, or Trey Lance would have to just blow up to the point where there's like, whoa, Trey Lance, where's this been for 4 years now?
Yeah.
So it would have to take a lot of injury, or Trey Lance just like seeing him up close and personal doing the work and just like outperforming Taylor Heineke at practice. But slim chance there for him.
Yeah, I would have it almost towards 0, to be honest. Trey Lance is an absolute bum.
But we're going to get to see Amari in Hampton, Trey Harris a little bit.
I'm excited for that.
They've already played, possibly by the time you listen to this. So that'll be fun.
For sure. I'm excited that we're actually getting some higher-end rookies out there. I don't know how long it's going to be, even if it's just a drive or 2 drives. But
I expect 1 drive from each.
I agree. I want to just see him out there. I want to see these guys in pads, and I'm obviously not going to watch the whole game. It's the Hall of Fame game. It is what it is. But hey, man, football's back. This is no more Thursdays without football until the end of February. So we're golden, dude. We're here.
Yeah. College football also around the corner, so we're going to be doing scouting stuff as well. So fun stuff to look ahead of. Let's dive into this not so fun division.
Ooh, let's dive, baby.
All right, we'll start with the division winners. The Houston Texans last season, they finished at 10-7. Their projected win total this year is set at 9.5. So the positive about this division is there's kind of some open-endedness around a lot of these players, whereas in the NFC North, we had a lot of chalk guys. Burrow, Chase, Higgins, all the Bengals dudes, the Ravens guys. Like, it's pretty consensus feel. Whereas like this division, there's some open end. Like I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of guys differently here, so that'll at least open up conversation. One of them is, I believe, C.J. Stroud. From what I remember from our quarterback episode, you were higher on Stroud than I was. Last season, he finished as the QB 18. This year, he's going right now, ADP wise, as the quarterback 16, right at the beginning of the 11th round. 3,700 yards last year, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, less than a 4% touchdown ratio, almost 2.5% interception ratio. Not much on the ground from Stroud, 233. And I have him at quarterback 22, maybe because I had him last year. So I rode the CJ Stroud ride and it was not fun.
He got burnt.
Yeah. So, but I just ultimately think they're not going to pass as much, but now with the Joe Mixon news, I might have to readjust how I feel about that, because if Mixon's going to miss time, or we don't know what his health is going to be like, I might lean them towards passing more instead of trying to force Nick Chubb, Woody Marks, or Damian Pierce into this lineup to kind of spill Mixon if they're running a rotation, or even if Mixon's out there. I don't think he's going to see a big workload at that point because of the foot injury, that maybe we do see Stroud chuck it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I think their passing game is going to return to what it was closer to Stroud's rookie year. I don't think it's going to be that same, but I think it's going to be much closer to where he finished in the top 12. I have him QB 15, so right around ADP. And he was QB 18 last year, and I think it's going to be better than it was last year, because last year Nico was banged up. Steph Diggs got hurt and he missed the rest of the season. Tank Dell obliterated his knee for the second year in a row. So and he has Dalton Schultz. So he had no one come halfway through the season, towards the end of the season. That was just, no one had his back. He had a terrible offensive line, and I'm not saying his offensive line got any better this season, but his offensive line is ridiculously bad. He had Slowick as his offensive coordinator, who is dog shit at offensive coordinator.
And he's just gone. I think that's
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give last year so many excuses thrown to CJ Stroud. I truly think he's a really talented quarterback. I don't think it's going to be a top 12 performance every single year, because he doesn't have high rushing upsides, and his touchdowns are going to vary from year to year. But I expect Nico to have a huge season. I think Higgins is going to be really involved. I don't trust a run game because of what happened already with Mixon. He's already banged up. He missed a couple games last year with a very similar injury, and it's already aggravating him again. I trust CJ Stroud. At the end of the day, I don't trust him to be a starter. I don't trust him as my number one quarterback. But hey, man, his ADP is 6 rounds later than it was last season. So he took a huge hit fantasy-wise. I'm more in than most people on CJ Stroud.
Yeah, his rookie year, he did have 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, so a bigger increase in yards, 3 more touchdowns. But the kicker was 5 interceptions compared to the 12 last year.
Yeah.
Both years were with Bobby Slowick, so who knows? I'm not even sure who their coordinator is, but
last year was so like he had to play hero ball because of his offensive line, and it's gonna be an issue again. I think last year they had statistically the 28th or 29th ranked offensive line. PFF has them ranked going into the season 32, so they have them dead last offensive lines ranked going into the season. So it's gonna be a lot of CJ Stroud carrying this team. And I think he's going to learn a lot from last season, that he can't really do it on his own. He has to check the ball down more. So we're going to not see as many wild and horrific kind of passes deep downfield. But I think he's going to play a lot smarter, a lot cleaner football this season. Cut the turnovers down to like 8 or 9. And I just think he's going to really bounce back. I truly trust CJ Stroud.
Yeah, they brought in Rams tight ends coach and pass game coordinator Nick Caley. So
he's got that McVay background, baby. He's going to be hugging and chugging it, baby.
So, speaking of the offensive line, Tice Howard, who's their right tackle, came out and said that the line is going to be a little more gritty, a little nastier this year, that they were soft last year.
They're going to have to be.
So maybe he's calling out Ramsey Tunsil and Shaq Mason, calling those boys soft. And,
the 2 best linemen on the team last year who aren't there because they both left. They traded Tunsil. Shaq Mason left. I don't trust their offensive
Howard's
line.
Better than Shaq Mason.
Oh, I disagree.
But yeah, we'll see. And it's a lot of projection. They drafted Ariante Ursary, so ton of upside. I loved Ursary
Mhm.
coming out from Minnesota. He's probably not going to start right away because they brought in Cam Robinson, who's a serviceable left tackle. Um, I'm trying to think if they drafted anybody else. They drafted Juice Struggs a few years ago. I think he's their starting guard. Elsewise, but I don't know if they
Their
brought
offensive
anybody
line
else
is
in.
bad, dude. It's
They,
really
they
bad.
brought in Laken Tomlinson. Juice Struggs is now the backup. Oh, and they kicked Howard inside, which I think is good. I think Howard's a better guard than tackle. Yeah, Trent Brown's there too. They're just bringing in these. Trent Brown, I can't believe that guy's still playing football. Offensively though, like I've said it before with Stroud. Like I just think he's going to be just one of those quarterbacks who's just a elite tier, really really good real life quarterback who's just never consistent for fantasy. Sort of where like Mahomes is now, where there'll be weeks where he kind of creeps into the top 12, but he's going to be floating in that, 14 to 25 range every week, and he'll be serviceable, but I just don't think there's ever going to be a ton of fantasy relevance from him. I think ultimately it's find the weapons here. Like I think Nico Collins is going to be incredible this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm iffy on the running backs now with the Joe Mixon stuff, but I like Higgins at his ADP, and I think Jalen Knowles a person to keep an eye on, and the other rookie from Iowa State.
Didn't you say Noel?
Well, I said Knoll and then comma the other rookie from Iowa
okay.
State.
I thought you were saying like Noel, and then you forgot Higgins' name, even though you said Higgins.
They brought in a third Iowa State rookie.
The way you said it, I was very confused, and I'm like, but no, I agree. I love all three of their options. I would even say Christian Kirk is a sneaky late round kind of guy, and I think like weeks 1 through 8, he's going to be more involved than Jalen Knoll. And CJ Stroud,
Christian Kirk.
CJ Stroud eats up the slot. It doesn't matter who his slot receiver is. Even back in college, CJ Stroud always targets his slot receiver. It doesn't matter who it is, and that's going to be Kirk to start the season, I think. So CJ Stroud has proven he can carry multiple receivers. He's done it with Diggs. He's done it with Nico. He's done it with Tank Dell. All of those guys have been fantasy relevant when the offense is at its fullest. I see a world where CJ Stroud can carry Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, and Jalen Noel or Christian Kirk. One of those. I think all three of those guys, 3 of the 4 are going to be pretty relevant come the end of the season with the Texans.
Yeah, so Nico Collins, we'll do the receivers, and we'll briefly touch on the running backs. Nico Collins, last year he finished as wide receiver 23. He did miss games. Mm-hmm. He's currently going as wide receiver 7, last pick of the first round. I have him projected as wide receiver 6, so one spot above his current ADP. Last year, 68 catches on 99 targets, 1,006 yards, 7 touchdowns. He averaged almost 15 yards a catch, 10.2 yards per target. His 17-game pace would have been 96 catches for 1,425 yards, 10 touchdowns. I kind of lean to that's pretty much where he's going to be if he stays healthy for the full 17 games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I there's not a world where I don't trust Nico this year. I like his ADP. I have him at wide receiver 8, so one spot behind, but still in the same bucket.
Yeah.
He's among the elite receivers in fantasy football for a reason, and I think in order for him to get to that next level, it's going to be because CJ Stroud pushed the team forward, because I don't know. I trust CJ Stroud at the end of the day. I think he's good enough to get all of these guys the ball. So I don't know. I'm just going to keep saying that. I trust this guy, and it's going to come when we do the division rankings at the end of this, but CJ Stroud's the difference maker that none of these other teams have. I don't think any other team has quote for quote a franchise quarterback. I think the Titans do, but it's not proven yet. I know CJ Stroud's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if Kaylee runs motion as much as like McVay does, because McVay always has guys in motion, which is why I'm not as focused on the slot stuff, because I think like Higgins and Collins in motion is very similar to what Kupp and Nakua would do, and I think that's how they're going to utilize those guys. Like I trust in moving them in motion more and kind of they end up in the slot come the time that their motion stops. So I think they're just going to run a rotation. I don't think they're going to have a necessary designated slot receiver. Like Christian Kirk, he's being drafted as wide receiver 59. I have him as wide receiver 70. Like I'm not where he's at. Like, I think come the end of the year, Jalen Noel's going to phase him out. I'm going to trust the talent there. Christian Kirk, he's constantly dealing with injuries, whether it be shoulder or lower body. So, like, can I trust his health? And I ultimately just think, like, Noel, Higgins, Collins, they're the future of this offense, and I think they're going to be the pieces that are on the field the most when it matters for fantasy. So Kirk will probably have some sort of relevance spot starting wise here and there for maybe the first quarter of the fantasy season, but ultimately, like, I do think he's phased out to the point where he's not relevant for fantasy. He's just better for the real life Texans, and Jalen Noel kind of takes over, and I'm just going to trust the talent there and trust that the Texans are going to utilize the guys that are built going forward instead of guys who are probably just a 1-year rental.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would take Noel over Kirk, but if you're in 14 teams leagues, Kirk's going to be a flex guy the first couple weeks. I'm almost confident on that.
Yeah, like he's going in the end of the 12th round. The 12th round. That's where I want to take shots on guys on upside, not guys with floors. Like I think Adam Thielen's going in that range, and I'd much rather Adam Thielen if I'm going to pick a floor guy to Christian Kirk.
I look at those guys in the same exact bucket. They're both in crowded receiving rooms. And to be honest, Kirk's got the better quarterback.
See, I think Thielen's repertoire with Bryce Young kind of puts him above all the other guys there that aren't Teteroa McMillan. Like, I don't think Legette's going to eat away from Adam Thielen's playing time because I think he's a gadget guy. And I love Jalen Coker, so if anyone's going to outplay Thielen, it's going to be him. I don't know if he's at that level yet, especially with how in sync Bryce Young is with Adam Thielen. So I'd rather go with Thielen because I just think he's going to be on the field a ton, catching a ton of passes, whereas like Christian Kirk, I don't think there's ever going to be a week where he's the first option of the offense, whereas I think there'll be weeks where Thielen is the number one in terms of just targets in Carolina.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but they're in the same bucket. I would rather take the better guy and the better offense. Not the better guy, but the better offense for sure, and that would be Christian Kirk. But I would have them literally around the same bucket.
The offense is better. I think the Carolina receiving room is way less crowded than you think it is. Whereas, like, I don't think Christian Kirk can jump Jaden Higgins for the second spot, and he's certainly not jumping Nico Collins for the first spot.
Oh, see, I disagree on the Higgins. I think Kirk's going to out-target Higgins the first couple weeks because he's playing the slot role.
Yeah,
I think Kirk's going to see 7-8 targets the first couple weeks for sure.
Okay, I do not. Like I said, I don't think Christian Kirk is of any fantasy relevance here, but Jaden Higgins, I have at his ADP. He's going as wide receiver 52 right now. At the end of the 10th round, I have him as wide receiver 50. So he's the upside guy. I loved him coming out. We talked about him a ton during the draft process. I would have taken him with a late first, and he was the second pick of the second round. So the NFL kind of viewed him similarly. And I think him and Nico Collins are perfect counterparts for each other. Jaden Higgins played a ton in the slot, if you want to use that, out in college. And I think if there is a designated slot guy, I think it's going to end up being him just from a talent perspective. I think he outplays Christian Kirk. And Christian Kirk kind of either lines up outside or they just run a rotation between Kirk and Noel as the other outside receiver. And then if Jaden Higgins comes out, Christian Kirk slides into the slot. Like, it's just a matter of philosophy, and I see Higgins on the field more than I do Christian Kirk.
It depends. I don't know if that's going to happen the first couple. I have Higgins at wide receiver 40. I have him way higher than his ADP. So I'm in on Higgins. I'm in on Nico. So yeah, like I said, I have him wide receiver 40. I think you said he was wide receiver 52, so 12 spots above ADP. This offense just makes a lot of sense to me. I think Stroud's going to get it back. They got a good offensive coordinator now. I like their head coach. I like Higgins. I like Noel. I like Kirk. There's not much I don't like. I don't like Joe Mixon now because of his injury, so we can kick it to him now. But with no run game, I'm even in more on CJ Stroud.
Where do you have Jalen Noel real quick before? Because he's going as wide receiver 78.
I have him wide receiver 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. 48. You put me on the spot and I don't even have.
Okay, I'm at 75, so I'm close. But like I said, I think he's going to be splitting time with Christian Kirk. That's why I have Christian Kirk 11 spots below his ADP.
As of right now, I have a top 80. He's not in my top 80. So
okay, so you're lower on ADP with Jalen Knoll.
Yeah,
but he is a guy you'd be watching back end of the year.
Yes, I think he's going to take Kirk's job later in the year.
Yeah. Dalton Schultz, he was 10 and 20 last year.
No,
tight end 28 currently. I have him at 29, but 500 yards last year. He's involved. I have him at 33. So I expect him to kind of be in that Tyler Higbee role where he'll just kind of steal a game here and there, but he's not going to be of any relevance, and I don't think he's going to hurt the receivers too much.
See, I don't even see that happening. Like, Tyler Higbee's stuff all came after the catch. He was really explosive. Like, Stafford would hit him like 10, 15 yards, and he would just take it, break tackles. Dalton Schultz is not doing that. Dalton Schultz is like a younger Zach Ertz, and it's insane to watch him play. Like, I would much rather watch Zach Ertz play. He's more finesse. He's more give and go. Dalton Schultz is just, I hate watching that guy play football.
Dalton Schultz averages more yards per catch than Evan Ingram.
Yeah, that doesn't affect me.
I don't have any yak stuff. I just have that he averages 10 yards a catch every single year. No, I do think he'll be involved, but again, it'll just be if you want to spot start him because there's 6 teams on a bye week, sure, but he's not going to be a guy you consistently put in your lineup.
I would happily find another tight end. I'm not going to lie to you.
The muddled running back room. Joe Mixon last year, he finished as RB17, but he did miss games. He was much better than that in terms of points per game. He was an RB1. He's currently going as the running back 19, first pick of the 5th round, which on paper, prior to the news of the walking boot and the injury and everything, insane value. Like Joe Mixon was one of my favorite targets at that point. I have him as my RB16 currently, but that will be adjusted. He had 1,000 yards last year, 11 touchdowns, averaged 4 yards a carry. He was much more involved in the receiving game than I thought he would be, which was my flaw for Mixon going into last year. That's why I was kind of out on him. But 36 grabs, 300 yards through the air, and another touchdown. So, we need more information. Like, if Joe Mixon starts practicing next week, I'll be back in on the ADP in the 5th round. But if he's just not participating at all in camp, and they have him on the field ready to go week 1, I'm not going to be targeting him in my drafts unless he falls. But the injury does scare me if we don't see him practice at all throughout August.
From the sounds of it, he's not going to practice. He's not going to play. He should be ready for week 1 is what they're saying. That's exactly what San Fran was saying about Christian McCaffrey last season. He'll be ready for week 1. Well, he wasn't ready for week 1, and he missed time. He missed a lot of time. And then he came back, and then he missed more time. I currently have Joe Mixon at running back 22, and this is with the injury.
Okay, so you've
plummeted.
Adjusted.
Yes, he plummeted down my rankings. I had him at 14, so he fell 8 spots. It's not looking good. And then you factor in that they're going to have a bottom 5, bottom 8 offensive line. It's going to be bad. And yeah, it was bad last year, but I honestly think it's going to be worse. So I don't think the running game is going to be anything in Houston. I think it's going to be all passing work.
We'll see with the line, because you can kind of scheme a bad offensive line to just be middle of the pack. So we'll see what kind of
didn't last year.
Okay, well, that was Bobby Slowick. The Rams notoriously never have a great offensive line, but it holds Matt Stafford up. So, if they could take the jump from 28, what they were last year, to 22, you'll be happy with that. But after Joe Mixon, like I said, I not really targeting him. If he doesn't practice at all, I'm just kind of out unless he falls similar to Terry McLaurin. If he falls to a point where I see value, then I'll just take the shot on him. But outside of Mixon, Nick Chubb's the other running back there. Last season, he was RB60, but he was coming off an injury, and he was banged up as well last year. He's currently going as the RB49, right at the beginning of the 14th round. Before the injury, I had him as my RB64. He was only averaging 3.3 yards per carry last year. Hit 332 yards, 3 touchdowns. 5 catches for 31 yards and another touchdown. That's not Nick Chubb's game, but if Joe Mixon is banged up and he's not effective, like, are we really trusting Nick Chubb, who's coming off injuries back-to-back years, to be reliable in this offense? Or Dameon Pierce probably doesn't make the team because I doubt they carry 4 to 5 running backs, because you got to figure Woody Marks, who they traded up for, is going to be a part of this offense, at least roster-wise, and they love Daria Gumulale. He's a special teamers, though, for them, so he's probably going to be the other back, whereas I think Dameon Pierce is the odd man out. Like, does Nick Chubb excite you? Like, you taking him in his ADP at running back 49?
No, I have him at running back 60. So I'm out on Chubb.
So you have him right about where I do. I have him at 64.
He didn't look the same last year, and I get he was obviously coming back from that horrific knee injury, and he didn't have it. He wasn't Chubb.
And he got hurt again.
Exactly. He got hurt at the back end of the year, and even if he's the guy, Woody Marks is going to be the reception guy. Woody Marks is going to be heavily involved if Joe Mixon's not out there. I think it's going to be Chubb and Woody Marks both out there. Woody Marks, like you said, they traded up. He was a third-round pick that they traded up to get him. So they gave up draft capital, and he kind of does what Joe Mixon doesn't do. He catches the ball really well. He's a shorter guy. He's quick. He's in and out of breaks. He's a very explosive back. So
he old?
Yeah, a little bit. But he's the opposite of Mixon and Chubb. So I expect Chubb and Woody Marks to both be out there. But I have Woody Marks at 68. So I have him and Chubb almost close to each other. But they're just going to play each other into oblivion. They're not going to be good, dude.
Yeah. And that's what worries me about the team overall, because philosophy-wise, I do think they want to be just a grinded-out team where they don't want to be passing the ball 40 times a week. So it does worry me that the running game kind of just hurts the offense's efficiency. And I don't know if the Texans are a team that can win. Their defense is going to carry them throughout this year. And that's going to be the focal point where they could just have an ugly offense, but this elite defense makes it to the point where the offense is, you got 1 or 2 guys who are viable for fantasy, and that's it.
Yeah, and a lot of it depends on how bad this division is again. Half of their wins were from division. They had 5 division wins last year, so they went 5-1 in the division. So if they're able to do that again, that's 5 free wins in the division, maybe 6 if they sweep. It honestly depends on how bad this division is and how good the Texans are. I don't think it's going to be 5-1 again. I think it's going to be a little bit worse. But I still do ultimately think that they're going to somehow pull out a decent season.
The Indianapolis Colts somehow finished second place in this division at 8-9. Their win total is currently set at 7.5. The quarterbacks, your guys, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones. You love
Almost
them both.
the opposite. Yeah, sure.
Early reports out of camp were Richardson struggling. Now I've been hearing that Richardson has turned it around. He's out playing Daniel Jones, and that's what the Colts need. The Colts need Anthony Richardson to turn the corners and be viable, because like if he fails and the Colts are bad this year, Chris Ballard's probably fired. Shane Steichen's fired. So those guys, Ballard and Steichen, they need Anthony Richardson to at least look competent.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to blow it up, but if he plays and finishes most of the year, and they finish in this range, 8-9, you'll take that if he shows the strides. I do. I've changed my turn. Like originally, I thought Daniel Jones was going to start at the beginning of the year, and then Richardson would come in when he was healthy. But it seems like he's healthy right now, so I think he's going to be the starter all season. I think they're going to let him play it out, and it's going to hurt the value of their offensive pieces in the receiving game. And Jonathan Taylor, there's going to be weeks where he's irrelevant for that team. And if Richardson does play the whole year, I'm content taking him with my last pick. And if he blows up week 1, I'll hang on to him. And if he doesn't, I'll let him go. Because like his 17-game pace last year was he would have averaged more, like he would have been a playable fantasy quarterback, and it's because of the rushing upside. He had almost 800 yards projection wise rushing yards and double digit rushing touchdowns. Like he had 6 touchdowns in the handful of games he played last year. So you buy into the rushing upside because it's a cheat code. That's what makes Justin Fields fantasy relevant, and that's going to make what Anthony Richardson fantasy relevance will be is his running ability. But like I said, I'm not using a high value pick on him. It would be my last round pick. And if he shits the bed week 1, how often do you hang on to your 15th, 16th round pick? Very rarely. So I'll be willing to just take that this guy gets 1,000 yards rushing and double digit rushing touchdowns, and I'm fine with him as my QB2.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but there's not a world where I would ever feel confidently about starting this guy every week for a fantasy team.
Well, that's what I said, QB2.
No, but I'm saying like he's too risky to start. I don't want a quarterback that can go out there and get the 30 points, sure, but his floor is literally 5 points, like absolutely like the garbage of garbage. Where I know Justin Fields isn't going to do that. Even Justin Fields' bad days, he's still getting 10, 12 points, and it is what it is. It burns you, but it's not Anthony Richardson bad. I agree. The best thing for the Colts is this guy playing so that they can absolutely just bomb this team. It was restart because he's not the answer. Steichen's not the answer. I don't know, dude. I've never been a Richardson guy. He's not my cup of tea. He hasn't shown any type of improvement over the last 2 years. We'll see what happens. I think if Danny Jones was this team's starting quarterback, though, I think they could be 8-9. I don't think Richardson can get them to that record.
Hey, Jones's numbers, they played the same amount of games. They weren't good either. So
yeah, I'm not backing Danny Jones.
I think no matter who this team's quarterback is, this team's a bad football team. Like I think whoever it is, this team's not winning 8 games. They're not hitting their projected win total of 7.5. I think this is a 5-win team, no matter who the quarterback is, unless Anthony Richardson takes that step and is somehow improved, and then I think they can win because he then hits his draft status and is viable. Daniel Jones, I don't think gives them that sort of upside, but I don't think Anthony Richardson hits his ceiling. If anything, he kind of muddles in between and has weeks where he wins them games and has weeks where he loses them games. But the best way for him to get better or whatnot is to play football, which he hasn't done because he's either always hurt or whatnot. So we'll see. I'm kind of at the point where like, I don't want Colts players on my teams, but I think other people view that similarly. That way, that's because like where Josh Downs and Michael Pittman are going, they almost feel like values because they're just pushing down boards because of the questions at quarterback, where then I am okay taking the pass catchers because one of them should hit their ADP. I mean, both of them should hit their ADP. Like Michael Pittman is going wide receiver 51. Josh Downs is going wide receiver 48.
Yeah. They'll both hit that, I think. And Tyler Warren's going in the same realm of draft picks as they are. They're all around the same ADP because no one knows who's the number 1.
9th and 10th round, both of them.
Yeah, no one knows who's going to be the one, but I'm still in on Josh Downs. I think regardless of the quarterback, he's the safest option.
Best one. Yep.
And then I would put Tyler Warren too because he's the rookie. He has the higher ceiling than Michael Pittman. I know what Michael Pittman is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't excite me any day of the week. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, Michael Pittman is that gross pick. He's like the step above like Thielen and Christian Kirk.
Like, yeah, sure. Yeah,
he's not going to score touchdowns, but he could catch 90 passes for 850 yards.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is on that team. No one on that team is scoring touchdowns. I've been a Giants fan. Danny Jones is not getting touchdowns to these guys. I don't trust Anthony Richardson. Jonathan Taylor is the only Colt I trust at the end of the day because he's Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. You know what you're getting with Jonathan Taylor. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Downs is the safest option. He had 72 catches for 803 yards, only 5 touchdowns last year, but like he showed upside. Like he was Richardson's guy, and then he was whoever else played after that. Was it Gardner Minshew last year? No,
it was
Minshew with the Raiders. I don't even.
Joe Flacco last year.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and he looked like dog shit, and that's what worries me about Cleveland too. Flacco looked terrible last year.
But from a fantasy perspective, Flacco's 17-game pace was really good for fantasy.
Yeah, but he looked terrible. Like eye test wise, he did not look like he did in Cleveland. It was not the same Joe Flacco.
I would just credit that more to offensive ski. Like I trust Stefanski to make it work with Flacco more than I do Shane Steichen.
Well, I just trust Stefanski more than 90% of the NFL coaches.
Yeah. I think Steichen wants a more mobile run-based quarterback, and now he has two of those, Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. I don't think he wants a sit-in-the-pocket stone like Joe Flacco. Agree. So I just think that was just bad philosophy from them. I think their hope was Richardson was playing all year and he could just learn from Joe Flacco in the quarterback room, and of course Richardson got hurt and Flacco had to play.
Well, hey, but he also got really tired, so he needed to sit down.
He did get tired.
He was a little winded. I'm
going to do that one week. I'm going to get tired and just walk off. I'll put one of the cats here.
Dude, I cannot believe he did that shit. Oh, everything about this guy just gives me the ick, dude. Lie through your teeth. I don't care what you say. I had to shit. I had to throw up. I had to go sign autographs. I don't care what you have to do. You don't take a break. You're the quarterback. Go out there and it's fucking fourth down, dude.
Yeah, Downs, I have above ADP. Like I said, he's going 48. I have him at 34. Pittman's going 51. I have him at 40. So I'm higher on both those guys in their ADP, but like they don't necessarily excite me. Like 40 and 34 ranking at wide receiver, they're low end flex guys at that point. But where they're going, Downs at the end of the 9th, Pittman in the middle of the 10th, I'm cool with where they're going, just on the chance that one of the quarterbacks is just competent. Then you have a value. And same with Tyler Warren. He's going at the beginning of the 9th round. They used a high-end draft pick on him. He's an exciting player. So I get taking the shot where they're going. Like, they're not being pushed up draft boards, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, theoretically, one of these guys should hit. But there is also a world where all of these guys just kind of are there, and none of them are relevant, and they're all just... Downs finishes as wide receiver 45. Pittman finishes at wide receiver 50. Warren finishes as tight end 13, and none of them are relevant. And that's just the Colts offense this year. It is what it is.
And then Jonathan Taylor, he was RB12 last year, but he won teams league. His back end, playoff run was incredible.
Was phenomenal.
Yeah, he's going as the RB10 beginning of the 3rd round. I have him at 11, so pretty on par with that. 1,400 yards last year, 11 touchdowns. Only 18 catches for 136 yards. That's what kind of pushes him down, but he does give you a ton of PPR upside. And if Richardson's in, he's not going to get anything passing anywhere. But Daniel Jones, I would think his targets go up a little bit, but not enough where it would be like, Jonathan Taylor's a PPR machine. But Jonathan Taylor, I don't think he gives you top 5 running back upside, but I don't think he finishes. I don't think he finishes outside the RB12. I don't think he finishes outside the RB1s.
See, I think Taylor's talented enough to push RB5. He just based off pure talent. He's that guy.
He's talented enough compared to like Derrick Henry. Like I trust Derrick Henry more from a non-catching standpoint to propel into the top 5 than I would Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I had Derrick Henry at 5, and I have Jonathan Taylor at 9.
And then the PPR guys, McCaffrey, Achane, Chase Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. Like, I just don't think Jonathan Taylor can really jump. Well, he'd have to jump like 4 to 5 of those guys. I just don't think he can. But you're not going to be disappointed with Jonathan Taylor where you draft him unless he gets hurt.
Yeah, I'm in on Taylor as my only Colt that I'm confidently in on. And I see a world where he could finish in the top 5. I honestly do. He's done it before. He's been RB1. And I think if Danny Jones is the quarterback all season, I think his catches could hit 40, 45, because Danny Jones checks down to his running back. That's what he does. When Danny Jones panics, he dips it down, and Jonathan Taylor can catch the ball. He's had a couple of catches here and there throughout his career.
The only way I could see Taylor being a top 5 back is if the Colts are winning games, and I just don't think they are, and that's why I don't think Jonathan Taylor has the upside to be a top 5 fantasy back, whereas like all these other guys are on, for the most part, really good football teams.
Yeah, no, I agree that they're the better teams, but Jonathan Taylor is a guy's talent-wise that I would take over 95%.
I don't think on the Colts he can be right now. The way this team is structured currently, I don't think he can be a top 5 running back for fantasy.
You can get that 5th spot. I wouldn't take. I think he could. I honestly do.
Yeah.
I disagree. Yeah.
Okay,
Agree to disagree.
Okay. I think he would have to get like 15 touchdowns, and that's not going to happen. Like the way the Colts, I think they're going to be that bad. I don't think he can get 15 touchdowns.
Agree to disagree. I think he could have 15 touchdowns. There's nothing that I don't think Jonathan Taylor cannot do football wise. I trust that guy that much talent wise.
Usually, to score that much, your team has to be good.
But he's that good. He can have 15 breakaway touchdowns, is what I'm saying. It's not the team, it's him.
Yeah.
Look what he did in like the last 4 or 5 game stretch. He can break off 10 touchdowns alone by himself.
They were winning games last year somehow. But I just don't think, like, I think they're going to be one of the 3 worst teams in football. I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be bottom half. I wouldn't say 3 though.
Yeah. I think they're going to be drafting for sure in the top 5. I'm just kind of out on them as a football team. Jacksonville, last season 4-13. Their projected win total this year 7.5. So
we didn't.
Vegas,
we talked about Tyler Warren kind of. I was going to say we skipped Warren, but
we talked about.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot the Colts even had a tight end. I'm like, we didn't even talk about Mo Alley Cox, dude. What are we doing?
They usually don't have a tight end. Yeah.
I'm not used to them having a tight end to talk about. It's weird.
Jacksonville, Vegas clearly is buying into Liam Cohen, new head coach, to improve this team by 4 games essentially. And I'm kind of there. Like, I think Cohen's going to be really good for this team.
What's their over? 7.5, 8.5,
7.5, 7.5, which is the same as the Colts. Vegas thinks the Colts are 7.5, and I'm not there on that. I'm more in, like, if I had to bet on the Colts or Jacksonville to hit their win total, I would bet the Jaguars over Indianapolis.
Yeah, because there's a chance Anthony Richardson's not the Jags quarterback for 17 games. That's probably why.
Yeah, so Trevor Lawrence, last season, banged up, just QB 27. He's currently going as QB 21, 14th, in middle of the 14th round. I have him at QB 21 in my projections currently.
You look at that guy's NFL career so far. Because, man, he has not hit any bit of that draft hype he came out to. I can tell you that much.
No, and I think that's the problem, was he was just kind of overhyped. Like, I didn't necessarily see Trevor Lawrence on the same plane prospect-wise as, like, Andrew Luck and all those guys, where everybody was like, he's a generational talent. I wasn't there. I thought he was a good prospect coming out, but I think part of it was just propelled by the fact that he was winning championships at Clemson, and he also came in with an incredibly weak quarterback class. It was Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. It was just that Mac Jones.
Hey man, a lot of those guys are highly scouted prospects.
Yeah. But like I view Trevor Lawrence more like I would have Michael Penix last year, a step above that. So pretty much like not as much as I like Drake May and Caleb. Like, he's probably closer to those guys though, I guess, than Andrew Luck and like those elite tier prospects. So I think that's why people are just like, he was a disappointment. I think he's been fine. Like, I wouldn't, if he was my quarterback, I wouldn't be trying to move on from Trevor Lawrence, but I would be trying to make.
I'd be looking just in case.
I would be trying to make this team competitive for Trevor Lawrence. I think they started doing that. They brought in Brian Thomas Jr. last year, and that worked. And now they brought in Travis Hunter.
They brought in very similar to receivers that he had in Clemson that he was really good with. He brought in big body, big catch radius receivers because Lawrence isn't the most accurate quarterback, and that's shown throughout his career. He needs these guys that can go up and help him like look good. He needs these guys like DeAndre Hopkins back in the day. Any catch in that guy's 10-foot radius, it was getting brought in. Those are the kind of receivers that Lawrence needs, and I do think they're taking the steps right with bringing in BTJ last year, Hunter this year, Liam Cohen as the coach. I think a good offensive funded quarterback is what he needs. I look at his rookie year with Urban Meyer as it didn't even happen. It was just a horrendous team move, and it was just a dumpster fire. And then he looked good his first couple years with
Doug Peterson. His first year, Peterson, they were a playoff team.
Yeah, he looked good, and I got absolutely cooked because I loved Jacksonville that year going in there. I made tons of bets. We started a couple leagues that year, so I'm just stuck with Trevor Lawrence in a couple leagues now because no one wants that fucking guy, but I'm stuck with him. So I don't know. I'm just salty on Trevor Lawrence the whole experience.
Yeah, but that first year with Doug Peterson, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4,100 yards passing. It was his career high in completion percentage. Only time he's been over 66. Like Doug Peterson, his teams never get better, which showed in Jacksonville.
Yeah, they always start off hot and then just get worse every year.
Liam Cohen, unknown coach, but he has been able to scheme really well to make his quarterbacks good. He did wonders for Baker Mayfield last year, and I think he's going to do good for Trevor Lawrence. I don't think from a fantasy standpoint Trevor Lawrence is going to blow the world up, but I think from a real-life standpoint, Trevor Lawrence kind of looks more like he did when he had Doug Peterson that first year than he has recently. So I'm in on the Jaguars offense because most of them, sans like Travis Hunter, he's the only one I'm kind of out on an ADP. The others, I like where they're being drafted. I think they're all values.
I wouldn't look at Lawrence fantasy wise this year. I don't think it's gonna I think he's gonna be a really good real life quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna look fine.
I look at him like I look at Stroud for fantasy, same way, and I have him back to back in my rankings.
Okay, yeah, see, I'm obviously a little higher on Stroud, but I think he's gonna be like just a really good real life quarterback. Geno Smith most of the years, except that year he finished 6th. He's gonna be like that. He's gonna make a lot of smart plays because of Liam Cohen. And no, I agree. Even Travis Hunter right now is ADP. I'm kind of iffy on, but I'm still in because it could be fun. It could be exciting. But come like drafts in 2-3 weeks, I think it's going to go up around. All rookies usually rise around come middle to late August. They all end up going up because everyone starts drafting more. But I'm in. I like Brandon Strange. I like BTJ. Obviously, he's a super high capital, but he showed last year why he should go that high, and he's in a Liam Cohen offense now, and look what Mike Evans did, and look at Chris Godwin was off to a crazy hot start, and there's just a lot to go around in Jacksonville for fantasy wise. I think it's going to be fun. I don't think they're going to be a good football team, but I think they're going to be a fun football team.
Brian Thomas Jr., he's going as the wide receiver 8 right now, starting off the second round. He finished last year as the wide receiver 4. I have him as wide receiver 8 in my projections. 87 catches, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns last year. He was a superstar, especially at the end of the fantasy season. He was really important to you if you had him in the playoff run. So, and I'm fine with the draft capital going second round. Like, I think that's good value. I'm buying into him continuing to trend upwards. I think he's one of the most exciting players in the league. I loved him coming out. I was higher on him in consensus. I'm rocking the BTJ jersey today. Like he's just one of my favorite players to watch. He's fun. He's exciting. He's the guy you want on your fantasy team. Like the fun part about fantasy football is if it kind of helps you just enjoy fun players. And if your team's not good, your real life team, it gives you other players and things to root for and keeps you invested in the season. So, and I think Brian Thomas Jr. is one of those guys like you would just love to have him on your team because he could score on a 90-yard bomb on the drop of a dime because he's that explosive.
For sure. As a Giants fan, having fun fantasy players has kept me in football for the greater part of a decade. So it's been a rough 10 years for sure since Eli left. But hell yeah, dude. Having like these big explosive players, it just makes fantasy fun. And just like a quick tangent, like having like one of the elite quarterbacks, it's just so much fun having like Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. Those guys just make fantasy fun because you're just watching
Patrick
this
Mahomes
game
a few years ago.
Yeah, dude, like you're watching these good football teams. So you're like watching good football, and then let's say like Lamar gets the ball on the last drive and goes for 90 yards and a touchdown. You just got an extra 20 points on the last drive of a game because of Lamar Jackson. It makes fantasy football so fun having elite guys, dude. It's so much fun. Yeah, it gives you a reason to cheer for other things.
Yeah, Travis Hunter. I said, I'm out on him, and I worry that he's actually going to be a two-way player. Like he's practicing. It's pretty much split at practice right now. He's going as the wide receiver 29. beginning of the 6th round, I have him as wide receiver 43. Like, I just worry, and it's a good worry, that he is this two-way player, and he'll be on the field offensively, but I don't think he's going to, like, there's a world where he plays less than 50% of the offensive snaps, and there'll be a important less than 50, because when he's going to be on there, they're going to scheme him in, and chances are he's going to get targets. So, but I do worry that, like, he's just too good for the team from a real life standpoint, that offensively he's not up to full upside for fantasy.
Yeah, it's a super risky pick, and he is going high. I have him at wide receiver 40, so I have him in the same bucket as you do.
Okay.
But like, let's say this is his stat line: 100 targets, 54 catches, 734 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Is that fantasy relevant? Because that's what Rome Odunze did last year, and no one's talking about how fantasy relevant Rome was last year. He finished his wide receiver
like a
49.
Flex guy.
He's wide receiver 49.
Guy.
He's barely top 50. So if that's the kind of season Hunter has, and that's a really good rookie season, like we get these superstar rookie, like we get it all blown out of proportion, 1,000 yards, 12 like what BTJ did. But Rome going out here and having 50 some catches, 730 yards. Look at Marv's stats. Marv's stats are in the same realm. They're 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. He had more touchdowns, obviously, but no one's looking at these guys as quote for quote, oh, they're so fantasy relevant their rookie year. So Hunter is definitely the big question mark. But, well, obviously the run game for Jacksonville, who knows how that's going to go. But
then Hunter
he's
also
an
has
exciting pick, though.
Brian Thomas Jr. is the clear alpha here, so he's at best the number 2. But he is. I would love to have Travis Hunter on a team. I will try to get him on one of the leagues I run this year, just so I can live the experience of Travis Hunter.
The snaps he's on the offense, they're going to hyper target him. He's going to eat so many targets when he's on the field. That's the way he becomes fantasy relevant. So he doesn't have to be out there 80-70% of the snaps on offense, even if it's like low 60s and he's getting hyper targeted on the snaps he's on the field. He can be fantasy relevant. And like, we just talked about Jaden Higgins when we talked about the Texans. I have him at wide receiver 40-ish, so right 50, around where I have Hunter.
50.
But when we were doing the draft stuff, those guys were not in the same bucket. Travis Hunter and Jaden Higgins. Exactly. So did I. Yeah, but they were worlds apart when we were scouting them. Travis Hunter was easily the wide receiver 1 or 2 in this draft class. I had him 2 behind Tet. You had him 1. Jaden Higgins was like 4 or 5, like in that bucket, and it's not the same. But they're being drafted, or we have them ranked close to the same. Yeah, just because Hunter's being what's going to happen. Yeah, we don't know where Travis Hunter's going to be playing. He might be playing defensive back 60% of the time, only 40% on offense. So I just think it's going to be when they need him on offense and they need big plays, he's going to be on offense, and then really close games, he's going to be on defense. Yeah, because they need all the help they can get.
But yeah, I will definitely try to get Travis Hunter in a league just because he's this polarizing player and you want to have him on your team. But beware, the chances of him hitting his ADP at wide receiver 29 to me is just a little harsh.
It's too hot to handle. Yeah, it's too hot for me.
Do you think there's a chance that one of the other receivers then becomes relevant, Diami Brown or Parker Washington, or no?
No, I think it would be Brendan Strange. They're tight end.
Strange, yeah. Yeah, so he's going, he finished last year as tight end 30, he's going as tight end 21. I'm a little bit lower, tight end 23, but I get the upside. Like, I took his pace of the games he started when Ingram was hurt, and he pretty much had like an Evan Ingram-esque year. It was like 62 for 584 and 4 in scoring, and he wasn't, he was just bringing in a ton of catches.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he's a super talented tight end. He's super explosive. He's a big body. He kind of does what Evan Ingram does as well. So I just think it's going to click for Brendan Strange. And when he showed that he had to be important to the offense, they used him well, and he was productive. And I think it's going to show again in fantasy. I have him tight end 17. So I have him a little bit higher than ADP, a little bit higher than you as well. So I'm more in on Brandon Strange, and usually when a tight end evacuates a team and the targets are up for grabs, they usually end up going to the tight end anyways. So I think most of Evan Ingram's targets are going to go to Brendan Strange this season.
Yeah, that's fair. He is a tight end. I do like looking at the end of the round, especially we didn't bring this up at the beginning. The Bengals signed Noah Fant,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that kind of hurts Mike Gesicki, who's been one of my favorite late round targets. And Brenton Strange is the clear cut tight end one here, whereas Gesicki could be now running another 3 tight end rotation that Zach Taylor loves to run just to piss me off. So Brenton Strange, no other tight end. Like, I love Johnny Munt, who's the backup there. They're not taking time away from Brenton Strange. He's the clear cut alpha tight end in this offense. So he's worth that late round shot on the chance that if he does what Evan Ingram done in full PPR, you're getting a steal.
I totally agree. I think there's a really good chance that he is the number 2 target guy in this offense because of Hunter playing both ways. I think Strange is going to out-target him, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's a really young, athletic, explosive tight end, so he showed that he can produce, and I think he's going to get a chance this year to do it.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. All right, you brought up the Jaguars running backs.
Ugh, absolutely disgusting.
This is going to be fun. All right, Travis Etienne, he's going as the RB33 right now. Big difference from last year where he was going in first, second round.
First round.
He's going at the end of the 8th. I have him as RB27, so I'm over projection there. Tank Bigsby, he finished last year's RB36, 1 spot behind Travis Etienne. He's currently going as the RB45, middle of the 12th round. I have him as my RB34, so I'm higher than consensus on Tank Bigsby as well. And then there's Bashal Tutin, who didn't play last year. He's a rookie out of Virginia Tech. He's going as RB44 over Tank Bigsby. Right around the same spot, middle of the 12th.
I think that's
my
crime.
RB50. I agree. He's my RB55. I'm lower on him. Like, the fact that he's being drafted over Tank Bigsby, who led this team in rushing yards last year. He had 776 yards, 7 touchdowns last year. He just can't catch the ball. So I get it from a full PPR standpoint. You don't really want a running back who's not going to catch the ball unless they're an all-world talent like Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry. Tank Bigsby, not that. But Tank Bigsby breaks tackles. He's an efficient runner. At least he was last year. Wasn't as a rookie. He caught 30 passes his final season at Auburn, so the pass catching ability is there.
I was going to bring that up.
I'm in on both guys. I like Etienne and Bigsby where they're going. It's just a matter of which one you think is going to be the guy. I'm cool with taking them. I lean Bigsby just because of he's going 4 rounds later than Etienne. But at the end of the 8th round, if I'm looking and my team's not looking great and I just kind of need a disgusting catch-heavy running back, I like Travis Etienne because who's to say he doesn't kind of fall back into the middle of that high-end fantasy year and last year, and then he's just a top 24 running back. But I can also see the world where Tank Bigsby does the same thing and he's more productive. Like, I do want a piece of this running game. I will likely have shares of both these guys in a ton of leagues.
God, this is going to sound absolutely disgusting, but I'm right there with you. I have ETN at running back 29, and I have Bigsby at 39. So, yeah, I agree.
You're higher on both guys than their current ADP too.
I don't think Bashal Tutin I don't think he's going to see the field that much, to be honest. I think it's going to be these two. He's going to be involved, but it's not going to be any bit of fantasy relevance, I don't think. I truly think Etienne's going to have a quote-for-quote bounce-back season. He still finished like RB, what'd you say, 35 last year, 36? So
35 last year.
Yeah, and I think Bigsby was right behind him, to be honest, at 36.
He was 36. They were back-to-back.
I think they were back-to-back, and I think that's what we're going to get again this year. Especially with Liam Cohen. We've seen it in Tampa Bay. Rashad White, Bucky Irving, he can juggle 2 backs, and they're almost like the same. Like, Bucky Irving's a little more explosive than Tank Bigsby, and he's obviously a better runner, but Tank Bigsby can do what Bucky did, and Rashad White and Travis Etienne are almost identical. They're both inefficient rushers who can catch the ball really well. And I also, at the end of the day, I would take Etienne over Bigsby just based off the connection he has with Trevor Lawrence. Their college teammates, their pro teammates. Obviously, the connection has always been there, so he just trusts him more at the end of the day, I would think. So that's why I have Etienne obviously higher than Bigsby, but I'm with you, dude. I think they're both going to be very fantasy relevant, quote for quote, this season. Good flex options. They're not going to win you weeks, but they're going to be reliable options. So
yeah,
I'm kind of in on that absolutely disgusting backfield.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of also then comes down to roster construction. Like if you're trying to find a running back and you want touchdown upside, you're going to go Tank Bigsby. He had 7 touchdowns last year. He should float around there. But if you just want a guy who, if you're in full PPR, you're going to want Travis Etienne. I think the only way Bashal Tutin it becomes relevant here is if one or both of these guys suck, and then Tutin just kind of slides in like Bucky did last year, got playing time, and took advantage of it. Tutin, fumbling issues, we all know it from Virginia Tech, so we'll see. He's an exciting player, but I don't see how effective his game's going to be because I just think Etienne and Bigsby are just fine enough to hold their jobs down. I don't think Bashal Tutin is a talent that can outplay these dudes' job.
I agree. Even if one of them has a rocky start or a couple stretches that's just not good, I still think that they're going to outperform Tutin in camp and in practice throughout the week in the season. So, and I would expect the other one to then take a greater step, being Bigsby or Etienne if the one stumbles.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would rely more on one of those guys because I think both those guys right now are more talented and ready than Bashal Tutin.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Before we dive into our final team, the team that had the first overall pick last year, the Tennessee Titans, let's shout out our affiliates over at Finley Hats and W Energy. Finley Hats, their hats built for good times and long times. They got a lifetime guarantee, so if your hat is damaged or destroyed, they will replace it or repair it absolutely free. They have free shipping on every order within the United States. They have hat drops every Friday. So they release new limited edition hats once a week, a ton of cool stuff. They also have some standing hats, like the one I have out now. It's a little zombie cat. That is a standing hat. They always have that on sale through their shop over at Finley Hats. So join the force. They got the cool little Stampede laces. You can, secure your hat. You can customize the little pins there. They got a pocket inside. You can stash stuff. If you're like Nick, they got a little J holder to hold your recreational fun. So yeah, check them out. Join the Finley Force. In the description, there will be a link. You can click that for a nice 15% off your first purchase. So join the Force over at Finley Force and of course W Energy. They pride themselves on full ingredient disclosure, no artificial dyes, no sweeteners, none of that stuff. It's good, clean, jitterless energy, no crash. It is good stuff. Like their flavors are incredible. They dropped a new flavor. I've raved about it, the yuzu, the Japanese yuzu fruit. It's tart, it's sour. It's got a good kick. I love it. They also got a ton of flavors. They do collabs with content creators and animes. They are collabing with one of the top animes, Solo Leveling. So you can check them out and use the code DRAFTEDUP for a 10% discount on any order. That's good for your first, second, 5th, 27th, 100th order. It's good anytime, every time. So look for our friends, W Energy. They got an app. You can search it in your app store. Just search WDUBBY or go to their site, w.gg. Use the code DRAFTEDUP, get 10% off. Be better with W Energy. Eat that dub.
Hell yeah, let's get into these Tennessee Titans, baby.
Yeah. They got a guy who likes to eat dubs, Cameron Ward.
Hell yeah, dog.
I'm trying not to buy into the training camp stuff. His has been the toughest for me to just not be excited about. Like
you're talking to a guy that loves Cam Ward, so you don't even understand the pressure and the anxiety I'm getting of just not trying to be like, oh hey, the Titans are gonna win this division, by the way. So, but I just it's there. Like every interview, he's there at 5 a.m. They literally have to kick him out of the building at night. He's there. He is so football driven. He is a leader of men. He is the mentality that is going to lead any football team to success. He's it, dude. It's going to be there. I don't think they're going to be an amazing football team like Jaden Daniels did with the Commanders last season. But my God, I think it's going to be goddamn close, dude.
Yeah. Last season, they were 3-14. They obviously had the first pick. Their win total is currently set at 5.5. Cam Ward, like, he's not the perfect prospect. He didn't have the best, like, traits and abilities, but, like, he has that leadership, that mindset, that driven chip on his shoulder where, like, he will outwork his traits to the point where like that drives him to be a really good to great quarterback.
Mhm.
Like what he lacks there, he makes up for with his leadership, his mentality, the way he holds people accountable, the way he holds himself accountable. And maybe that's the fact that he was a 0-star recruit and he's just like been working for this. Has all been him working to get here. None of this was gifted to him.
Yeah.
So he's currently going at quarterback 20, which is a little rich for me. 13th round. I'm his QB 27, but I get it. You want to be excited about it. So I'd understand, taking Cam Ward as your second quarterback to be on the bench. If you draft a guy like Dak Prescott or Drake May or Caleb Williams and you just want to pair them up with an upside guy, I think Cam Ward's great for that. Or Brock Purdy, if you have him, I think Cam Ward, he's the perfect guy. You just draft a quarterback, the rookie quarterback, because the other rookies probably aren't going to play a bunch this year or be fantasy relevant. So he's the one. And I view him and JJ McCarthy similarly. I think they're worth drafting and worth being your QB2, and maybe they could play into being the QB1. But I do think Cam Ward being here is going to be great for Calvin Ridley.
I agree. He had 1,000 yards last season with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. An absolute shit show at quarterback last season. And I trust Brian Callahan. He was the Bengals offensive coordinator for years. He cooked when he was in Cincinnati. And he was a very sought-after coach last season. And he ended up with the Titans trying to develop Will Levis. And I've never seen a man so stressed out for 17 weeks. He hated Will Levis. And he hated watching him play. And it took him long enough. It was definitely ownership trying to keep him in there because he would have benched him weeks before it happened. And I think he has his guy. Cam Ward and Brian Callahan it was so funny, dude. He was every mistake Will Levis would make. Brian Callahan was freaking out, yelling. Oh, it was so funny to watch someone else get that stressful because I get it.
You could just see it on his face. Will Levis would make a throw and he was just like biting his tongue.
What are you doing?
Like, oh my God, like a fucking.
What were you even looking at?
This job?
But no, I think it's going to turn around. He's a good coach with a really, really smart and ready quarterback now. So it should click.
Yeah, and he's got NFL pedigree as well. His dad coaches on the team, and he's one of the best offensive line coaches in football. And they brought in J.C. Latham the year before. And
their offensive line's going to be great, dude.
He's swinging the right tackle now where he's more comfortable. They signed Dan Moore. Like they signed a bunch of guys. Peter Skoronski's still there. So I think there's some excitement for Tennessee. I think, and I love Calvin Ridley where he's going. He's currently going as a wide receiver 36.
It's a joke.
At the beginning of the 7th round.
He literally finished wide receiver 30 last year.
28.
28? Yeah, 28, okay, yeah.
That's where I have him. I have him as my wide receiver 28. Like, you're drafting him well below his floor at 36.
Yep.
Like you said, 1,000-yard guy, only 4 touchdowns, but that team was really bad. You should expect them possibly to make an improvement this year where those touchdowns could creep to 6, 7. And
I think with Cam Ward, it's going to be 6 or 7. Yeah.
And he'll have way more catches. Like, he caught 64 catches on 120 targets. So a little more than 50% of his catches, or 50% of his targets he caught. You think that goes up as well. So now if he gets 120 targets again, you're probably looking at 75 to 80 catches for Calvin Ridley. I just think it's too good of a value. And we said this last year as well. Like, we were all in on Calvin Ridley and he was just fine. But I trust Cam Ward more than I do Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. And just because, like, he's going to hold himself accountable if he makes a bad play, and Calvin Ridley's come out and said, like, Cam Ward throws catchable balls. Yeah. So, like, they're developing a rapport. So, I'm really in on Calvin Ridley at that ADP. Like, I'm not going to overdraft him and, like, force it and, like, pick him in, like, the 4th round where he's going in the 7th. But, like, I'd be willing to take him in the 6th. He's one of those guys I'll take a round over ADP. So, 6,
I would take him around over ADP.
5th.
Yeah, I would be comfortable reaching on him. I have him at wide receiver 27. So around the same bucket as you, and you're drafting him way lower than his floor. He had a shit show and a dumpster fire offense around him last season. It's going to be so much better. And you said he had 120 targets last year.
Yep.
If he would get the same amount of targets this year, it would literally be like getting like almost close to 200 Will Levis targets. Like, Cam Ward's targets are just so much better than a Will Levis target. They're going to be passes that Calvin Ridley can run under and get open, and he's going to throw Ridley open. He's going to hit him back shoulder for touchdowns. Ridley's season is going to be so good, dude. I'm hyped for Calvin Ridley. I'm hyped for Cam Ward. Ooh, baby. The Titans. We cooking.
Yeah. How do you feel about the other receivers here? So Tyler Lockett, he finished last season as wide receiver 66. He's currently going as 79, which isn't drafted. I have him as wide receiver 66 in my projection, so similar to last year. Alec Ayumaner's being drafted as wide receiver 81. Xavier Restrepo, Cam Ward's running mate, undrafted free agent. He's being drafted as wide receiver 88. And then Chimere Dike, I couldn't even find him on Sleeper. He's going like Sleeper has guys, and this is my biggest flaw with Sleeper, like they have guys who aren't playing football, who have been out of the league for years, or the guys you never heard of, who just kind of hang around there. Chimere Dike is going after these guys. I couldn't even find a projection for him. Like, I have him higher than Restrepo and Ayumaner in my rankings, and I have him well below Tyler Lockett, but I think if I'm going to take a shot on one of the rookies, I think I'm going to lean DK, and then Restrepo, and Ayumaner would be last.
I would go Restrepo, DK, and then Ayumaner. So I would switch your 1 and 2. Just based off, I think Restrepo has that same mindset that Cam Ward has. That he's a dog and he's going to do anything to make this team as an undrafted guy, and he has to prove himself. And he has the Cam Ward chip on his shoulder. He's the underdog now, and I think the connection's there for Miami. Obviously, they're college teammates. I think Restrepo makes his team, and I think he sneakily starts getting targets later in the season.
Yeah. I loved Restrepo coming out. I didn't waver. He was still in my top 100. I do worry that we kind of just focus on that. Like, that's the story we drive, that, they were college teammates, so he's going to make the team. That's not the case. Like, if these guys are out playing him, Restrepo's not going to make the team.
I think he has. I just think that's a connection thing.
Yeah.
I think he's going to make the team because of his attitude and his willingness.
Yeah, I agree.
He has that Cam Ward attitude. They're both dogs at the end of the day.
I think that's why he's being drafted before these guys. I think that's why he's being drafted as wide receiver 80. I think people are just like, he was Cameron Ward's college teammate. He's going to make the team. He's going to be a part of this offense. Whereas
I would say that's...
He's a great dynasty stash. All three of these guys are. They're not guys I'm going to really even look at this year.
Yeah,
but
I would say that's the general consensus.
I would lean DK over the other two.
Yeah, I would go Restrepo if I had to pick between the rookies, but I guess Tyler Lockett would be my second option, but I'm not high on Tyler Lockett at all this year.
Yeah, I think Lockett will be great for Cam Ward. I don't think he's going to be good for fantasy.
I think the Jaguars, I think their tight end is going to be their second most valuable target.
That was Chigakonkwo. He finished as tight end 21 last year. He's going as tight end 27.
He had a hell of a stretch,
There was those 3 games, and I did a on pace using those 3 games where he
phenomenal,
blew up, and it would have been a 159 target pace for 125 catches and 1,031 yards, no touchdowns because he somehow didn't score in that pace. So
because that team was dog shit.
Yeah, he 52 for 479 and 2 last year. But yeah, Okonkwo is exciting. Like, he's a great athlete. They did draft Gunnar Helm. That doesn't worry me too much. Just because,
especially this year.
I think they
maybe a dynasty, but this year it doesn't worry me at all.
Like, I think they could run a lot of 2 tight end stuff, Helm on the line, kind of blocking, and Chig can line up in the slot because he's a really good athlete, or play out of the backfield. But yeah, he's fun. Like, just like Brenton Strange, like, if I'm going to punt the position, he's one of the guys I'll take a week 1 flyer on. If it doesn't work, I'll cut him and move on, stream tight end. Or if it hits, I'll keep with him, and maybe they develop a rapport with Cam Ward. And Chigakonkwo is a top 12 fantasy tight end. Like, he's shown the ability before in the past. It's just a matter of him consistently putting it together.
Yeah, it reminds me of like early Njoku with Cleveland. Like, you've seen the talent Similar he has, and like when the offense goes through him, it just succeeds. And we've seen it with Chig in the back end of the season. We've seen it with Njoku throughout stretches of his career, and now finally it's starting to happen more consistently with Njoku in Cleveland. Chig is that athletic, big body, fast, explosive tight end that Tennessee can rely on with Calvin Ridley. And now that Cam Ward is there, I think Chig could possibly be in line for his sneakily, like, his best season. Like, he a really reliable, streamy tight end.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's end it with these running backs. Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. Pollard, last season finished as RB21. He's going as RB28. middle of the 7th round. I have him as RB4 or RB24.
RB4. Whoa, TJ, really high on Tony Pollard. My guy over here.
Yeah, Tony Pollard.
Hey,
yeah.
oh.
Tennessee, undefeated. No, I have him at 24. He had 1,000 yards, 3rd straight year. 5 touchdowns, 41 catches, another 238 yards through the air there. And then Tyjae Spears, he finishes RB42. He's going as RB40 at the end of the 10th. I have him at 45 in my projections. 300 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, 30 catches, 224 yards, another touchdown. Like, I think fantasy people want to make Tyjae Spears a thing and like push this, and the Titans don't help because they're always just like,
I was just saying, it's the Titans' fault.
A 50%. It's a 50%. It's a running back by committee. Tyjae Spears isn't on the same planet as Tony Pollard, and that's not a disrespect to Tyjae Spears. I just really like Tony Pollard. I think he is a bell cow running back. Like, I think he's good enough to be a team's RB1, and in no world do I think Tyjae Spears outplays Pollard and takes time away from him. So as long as Tony Pollard is healthy, Tyjae Spears is just going to kind of fall in this role where he'll catch some passes, break off some runs, but like, I don't think he's worth rostering.
I would roster him early in the season just in case it is actually split backfield this season. But you can move on really early if you know it's not. Yes, yeah. No, I totally agree. But I'm in the same round. I have him at like 42-ish around there, and I Pollard at 27. Or I Pollard at 23, I'm sorry. So I Pollard a little bit higher than I thought I did. But yeah, no, I'm in. I think that Tyjae Spears is just going to be the change of pace back. And I get that for 2 years now, we've just heard Callahan just say, we're going to use the split back. We're going to go back by committee. It's going to be both these guys, 50-50 split. And then, sure, week 1 is probably going to be close to like a 60-40 split. But then later in the season, it's just going to start to dwindle because Spears isn't reliable. He gets banged up here and there. And he's just a change of pace back.
Runner.
He's not. And like I think Tony Pollard is a lower level bell cow back. I agree to that statement. He's not an elite running back. He's not an elite bell cow back, but he can go in there and just work the workload, be on the third down running backs. He's just better than Tyjae Spears. And I like Tyjae Spears as an athlete. I don't love him as a running back. I think Tony Pollard is a way better running back than Tyjae Spears. So I think we're going to have another Tony Pollard, really good, really helpful fantasy season.
Yeah, just like Calvin Ridley, where he drafted him pretty much his floor. There's no way I see Tony Pollard finishing lower than RB28.
No, I agree.
Like,
where'd you have him?
Like, 24. So
okay, so yeah, we're in the same bucket.
Or RB2, I'm sorry. Yeah. I think he's worth that draft position. You can rely on him when he's out there. He's consistent. Like Dallas would kill to have a running back like Tony Pollard.
And they got a rookie quarterback, so they're going to have to rely on the run game here and there because that's where a rookie can really cook. If you have a really good, successful run game, and I think they are because their offensive line is really good and it's going to hold up. So their run game is going to be good. That gives Cam Ward more time to cook in the pocket and let those receivers run down the field. And that's the kind of stuff where Cam Ward really starts to cook and he thrives. So it could come together pretty nicely in Tennessee this year.
Yeah, if it does, like, I think Tony Pollard's a sneaky top 15 running back. I think Calvin Ridley's a sneaky top 24 wide receiver. And Chigakonko is a sneaky tight end 1. Like, if Cam Ward lives up to this hype and comes out, just like we've seen almost every year, a rookie quarterback takes his team up a good amount. Like, Tennessee, you could be getting really good values with these guys.
Yeah. For sure, dude.
All right. Let's predict
quick,
the division.
Real quick. This is completely out of left field. I've seen stuff from Pittsburgh's camp. Arthur Smith has that team running 4 tight end sets, TJ. Who the hell runs 4 tight end sets? It's literally 5 offensive linemen, a quarterback, a running back, and 4 tight ends. A 4-0-1. That's not even a thing.
I didn't even know that was possible.
That. No, because it doesn't happen. No one runs that. And I swear to God, Arthur Smith is going to be running that this season. We're going to be seeing the craziest formations in Pittsburgh this year with Arthur Smith and all of these tight ends that he has to use now.
Arthur Smith has fell into the situation that's perfect for him where he could pretty much be the head coach because Mike Tomlin's pretty hands-off on the offensive side.
Exactly, yeah. Yep.
So he's just kind of there, figurehead. He's like, hey, Arthur, if that's what you going to do, like, do it. If that's what you think's going to work, it's like,
but that's also
Tomlin
the kind of
dealt with Matt Canada for years and fucking was miserable.
if any team's out there running 4 tight ends and 1 running back, it's the Steelers. It just makes sense. It's like the Steelers or the Chargers. It's one of those hard-nosed, we're just going to play disgusting football and run the ball.
Baltimore. They would do it too.
For sure.
And Arthur Smith.
It's just those football-minded coaches, dude, and they just love running the rock, dude. So, I don't know. Pittsburgh's going to be a fucking circus this season.
Yeah. All right. How do you see the AFC South panning out?
Oh man, I really want to put the Titans 1, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna put the Texans in first place again. I just trust that team overall. D'Amico Ryans is a phenomenal head coach. CJ Stroud's a franchise quarterback. I am gonna put the Titans 2 though. I think the Titans make a huge jump. I think they finish in second place. I'll put the Jags 3 and then the Colts 4.
Okay. Here we go. We're finally gonna differ. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win the AFC South.
Okay.
I am putting my chips in on Liam Cohen.
That's bold.
Duval. Yeah. The Texans finish second. Tennessee finishes third. The Colts dead last, like I said. That was a gimme. I just think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And, hey, next year they're in position to draft one of these really good quarterbacks coming out. So,
yeah, for sure. And I think that's what's best for the Colts. I'm not going to lie to you. I think if Anthony Richardson plays the whole season and they just kind of tank, just reset, dude. Wipe the coach, wipe the GM, wipe the quarterback, restart. Because you got a good foundation. They went 8-9 last year with nothing.
Yep.
So
either
talent.
Anthony Richardson, either he pans out and they're good and they win this division, or he plays all year and he bombs and they're bad and they're in position to draft a franchise guy. So it's almost a win-win. I don't think there's a world where the Colts are a mediocre team unless Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback, and then I just think that's worse for them. Play it out with Anthony Richardson, and if it works, great, you got your guy. If it doesn't, you're in line to get your guy.
Yeah, I would say the Colts are arguably the most make or break team this season in terms of like jobs. Because like sure you could say the same about Brian Daboll and the Giants, but I think he's safe regardless because of Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart, regardless. Yeah, exactly. I think Gable's safe this season regardless of what happens. And everyone knows our strength of schedule is insane. So I would say a good amount of people in this organization are relying on this season to even have jobs next season. So it's a big year for the Colts if they don't make anything out of it.
Yep. All right. So there you go. About time we differed on one of these. I think we had the first two, we had like the same exact order of 4.
I think it was pretty close. Yeah.
Now, yeah. So next week we'll do the AFC West.
And the AFC, we will give you the last one.
Yep. And then at the end of that episode, we will give you our 7 playoff teams and our Super Bowl representative for the AFC before we move on to the NFC.
I can already tell the listeners that the division next week will be different. I can already tell them. I know we do not have the same division winner.
Probably not, but the AFC West
next week's going to be crazy,
in this division. Because all 4 teams I love. I think they're all going to be great.
See, I love Vegas. We'll save it. We'll save it. I do love a lot of that division. Though. They're going far in the playoffs, dog.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week with the AFC West Drafted Up Podcast. Adios.
Bye.